So I currently have this catch-22 dilemma with the ethics board,
Oh,
because this guy is reporting me saying I'm promoting myself as a lawyer, and like conflating that with me promoting myself like to work as a lawyer or to give legal advice. But it's because like I open my streams to say I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. That's actually true. So there's no false statement. There's no representation that I'm soliciting work. And then somewhere I'm like described as a lawyer, and they're like, well, you're not currently licensed. And it's like, well, but like I'm not licensed in Texas, but I'm still a lawyer. Like that's still real. Like I have my JD. I've practiced before the court, and actually in every other state, I would technically be eligible to be licensed if I, just fulfill some requirements, especially because I've been practicing for a decade and stuff like that. So they have this problem. They're like, you're alleging that you're a lawyer, and it's like, well, am I a lawyer? Because if I'm a lawyer, I'm under your rules, right? But so then the statement is true. But if I'm not a lawyer, you can't discipline me under the ethics rules and say that no, you're not a lawyer. It's like, well, I either am or I'm not. Whether the status of my license is one thing, it's suspended or it's, or it's in good standing. And I've never said that my license is in good standing once it was suspended. I didn't do my CLEs, so it's suspended. But it's like, you're saying you're a lawyer. It's like, well, if I'm not, then you don't have any authority to discipline me. So what are we doing here? And I don't know if they know what to do about it. they keep doing this.
Although I have heard you in the last couple of streams say that I'm currently suspended.
Yeah, I don't want to represent that I'm taking clients. I haven't solicited for a client since 2019. The last client I took on was in early 2020, right before COVID hit. And then that case wrapped up in 2022. I haven't solicited to do legal work since then. And I don't want to, like right now, like it's much better for me to do YouTube and it's more fun and it's, more engaging. There may be a time in the future where I might want to do law again. And at that point, I would start soliciting myself as a lawyer. But right now, I just solicit myself as a hoe.
That is pretty double-edged sword you got going over there or whatever, right? With the yes. Either I am a lawyer and you can't be mad at me, or I'm not a lawyer and you have no authority. That's pretty awesome.
Right. I mean, the root of all this is like they don't know, like they don't follow. So they have to go off of reports. And someone wrote a report that I was like soliciting myself as a lawyer for giving legal advice, which I haven't, I don't do that even privately. Like I tend to not do that when I was licensed, because like you need to talk to your lawyer. Like that's what you need to do. I'm not going to be your lawyer. I can maybe help like spot a couple issues, maybe help with some kind of big concepts, but you need to sit down with someone and consult. And so that's normally what I would do is I try and refer people out because like I don't.
That's what you should do.
I don't have time to do the work, and I don't want to really do it most of the time. Or it's in different states, or it's federal. It's like I don't practice in any of this stuff. You should hire someone who practices. Like I can translate. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. But
I don't know how many times I've heard you in the last umpteen years now say that you aren't a practicing attorney. You don't have any cases, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's a silly bar complaint. Or ethics, or whatever the hell.
Well, the problem with them is they don't really tell you when they're done with them, and so like they're the ones that they dismiss outright, and I have tons of those that I've gone through. They don't do any investigation, and then there's the ones where they do investigate, and then you submit your response, and they're just like thanks, and you're like, well, okay, and then you're like 6 months later, you're like, well, it's been like 6 months or a year. Like, what is this? And they're like, oh, I'm not sure. I'll check into it. And then they don't respond.
Well, like, somebody's got to give a shit enough to actually look into it, right? Which I'm sure is probably most of the...
The main thing is with the legal profession in general, they're always behind technology. And they're by like 2 to 3 decades. So Minnesota has an electronic filing system for all evidence. So when you're going to go into court, Like you upload everything into this electronic filing system, and then when you're in court, you offer it as evidence. The judge can admit it, and they can pull it up on a screen for everybody to see, right? Instead of like walking up and handing a piece of paper to the person, making them look it over. Everybody just looks at the same damn picture on the screen. Then the judge determines if it's admissible or not, and all of that. It took them until 2025 to do this. Like everybody else is like, we've been uploading shit since 2002. Like, why is the court who's handling the most important shit in people's lives, why does it take them another 20 years to come up with it? And the only reason they did is because of COVID. Because it made COVID so difficult with everybody,
that makes sense. It's gay, but it makes sense at least.
Right. But it's like, why did it take so long? So then you start to think about this, like with the ethics complaints. They're not ready to receive, hundreds of complaints at a time, or consistently receive a complaint that sounds the same as the others, and from someone who's never worked with or met this lawyer in their life, right? Or worked opposed to them. They're just a person. It's like, so a person in Louisiana will make a complaint, and it's like, are you his client? No. Are you in a case that he's involved in? No. Have you ever been like, do you know anyone who he's represented? No. It's like, well, what's your complaint? Like, what are you doing here? And they're just not prepared for that happening in the same way. They're prepared for like
that's pretty abnormal, right? Like the typical lawyer doesn't all of a sudden receive 100 violation complaints, etc., in a matter of a couple months, right?
Before you'd have to be like one of the lawyers on like one of these major cases like O.J. Simpson or Jodi Arias or something like that, and so you get television notoriety and people get mad about it and they send it in, and then they basically just ignore all that, right? Like, because they knew what that was. But social media is this weird hybridization between like actual celebrity status, which is up here, and normal person status here, and then social media is somewhere between that, and you kind of run the range. It takes about 1,000 people who know about you online to find 3 or 4 people who hate your guts forever, right? Like that's all it takes. And then that scales up in unpredictable ways. And then anything can kind of sway people one way or another. So it's nuts. That was kind of the funny thing. Like when I got arrested, and like the government told my kids that I was doing all these drugs. Thanks guys. But when they did that, like, once it's the cat's out of the bag, you could just have open conversations with your kids about it and stuff, and tell them about like, this is why you don't do this. And, they know the legal side effects because they saw those, but you can talk about like how bad they are for you. And your kids would ask, or my kids would ask like, well, like, what is this? And I'm like, how do you not know what this is? I'm like, oh, wait, you didn't grow up in the 80s, so you didn't see this in any movies. And you didn't have the D.A.R.E program, so the cops didn't teach you how to do drugs.
Right.
Like,
these are what you should watch out for. Needles, spoons, alcohol, a little bit of wire mesh. Don't avoid all this. Oh, okay.
Yeah, my kids, it was kind of like ironic. Like they have no idea how any of these things work or how people do them or whatever. And it's like, by their age, I knew all sorts of stuff, but it was almost entirely because of D.A.R.E. Like the D.A.R.E program, if you ever see someone snorting up powder, like that's not good. It's like, wait, snorting up powder, tell me more about this. It's weird. And they would sit there.
The one thing I'm a little upset about with the D.A.R.E program, I was expecting a lot more free drugs in adulthood, and it just never happens. Never happens. It's terrible.
They're like, everyone's going to be peer pressuring you into doing drugs. Nobody did. Nobody at all even tried.
Where are all those people at? Damn it.
I'm just sitting there going, I accept the D.A.R.E. I accept the D.A.R.E. I'll do it.
I went D.A.R.E. not truth. Give me my drugs. Damn it. Give me my drugs.
It was a weird program. And it's led to the frustrating thing is like these substances are really dangerous and they are really bad. But they're not bad in the ways that they're explained and propagandized. It's like, can't you guys just say, like, no, actually, like, if you do this, it'll cause reduced bone density and you'll be more susceptible to injury, maybe for the rest of your life.
That's not sexy sounding.
Right. Instead, they're like, you'll overdose on cocaine. I'm like, ask Matthew Perry. No, you won't. You'll drown on ketamine is what you'll do. But you won't overdose on it. It's hard.